Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another video here on the SSA Philosophy channel, where we dive into the philosophy of characters from video games to TV shows to movies, etc., etc. So, in today's video, we are going to be going over the philosophy of the character known as Brian Ralph Johnson from the movie The Breakfast Club. So, as always, let's go on ahead and let us get started. So, among the kaleidoscope of characters in John Hughes' iconic 1985 film, The Breakfast Club, Brian Ralph Johnson emerges as an unexpected philosopher. Portrayed as the brain of the group, Brian symbolizes more than just academic achievement. He embodies the human spirit's vulnerability, resilience, and unyielding quest for identity and acceptance. His neatly pressed sweater and encyclopedic vocabulary serve as a facade that conceals a profound struggle with self worth, societal expectations, and the weight of perfectionism. Yet beneath this exterior lies a rich, introspective mind grappling with questions that transcend the walls of Sherman High School. Brian's philosophy is a testament to the power of thought, a general reminder that even in moments of despair, the act of questioning, understanding, and reevaluating one's place in the world can lead to a transformative awakening. He's a character who challenges us to examine our preconceived notions of success, intelligence, and identity, urging us to embrace the nuances of our humanity. So, this exploration delves into five key tenets of Brian's philosophy: intellectual resilience, the paradox of identity, the liberation through vulnerability, the pursuit of authenticity, and the embrace of imperfection.
What are you babbling about?
Well, what I'd said was I'm in the math club, the Latin club, and the physics club. Physics club.
Hey, Jerry, do you belong to the physics club?
That's an academic club.
So?
So academic clubs aren't the same as other kinds of clubs.
Ah, but the dorks like him, they are. What do you guys do in your club?
In physics, well, we talk about physics, properties of physics.
So it's sort of social. Demented and sad, but social, right?
Yeah, well, I guess you could consider it a social situation. I mean, there are other children in my club, and yeah, at the end of the year, we have a big banquet at the Hilton.
You load up, you party.
Well, no, we get dressed up. I mean, but we don't get high. And I didn't have any shoes, so I had to borrow my dad's. It was kind of weird because my mom doesn't like me to wear other people's shoes. And my cousin Kendall from Indiana, he got high once. He started eating like really weird foods, and then he just felt like he didn't belong anywhere. Kind of like Twilight Zone kind of.
Sounds like you.
Brian's passion for knowledge is both his strength and his burden. Throughout the film, his intelligence is often overshadowed by the pressure to perform, as epitomized by his near tragic reaction to a failing grade. Yet, this moment of vulnerability reveals a deeper truth about the power of intellectual resilience. For Brian, learning is not merely an academic exercise, but a way to connect with the world and understand his place within it. Brian embodies the idea that intellect is not just an academic pursuit, but a way of navigating life's uncertainties. At first glance, his identity is wrapped up in his grades, parental expectations, and the need to excel. However, as the film progresses, it becomes evident that his intellectual resilience is a double edged sword. He strives for perfection, using his academic success as both a shield and a crutch. When his grades falter, even slightly, it spirals into existential despair, as seen in his confession about contemplating suicide over a failed shop project. This moment reveals the fragility behind the veneer of intellectual success. Yet Brian's journey also highlights the transformative power of learning beyond textbooks. Through his interactions with the other students, he gains emotional intelligence and self awareness, realizing that true strength lies in adapting, growing, and understanding oneself. His intellectual resilience evolves from mere problem solving to self reflection, showing that learning is as much about grappling with failure as it is about achieving success.
You think I don't understand pressure, Claire? Well, fuck you! Fuck you! You know why I'm here today? I'm here. Mr. Ryan found a gun in the locker.
Why'd you have a gun in your locker?
I tried. When you pull the fucking trunk on, the light's supposed to go on. It didn't go on,
What's the gun for, Brian?
Just forget it. You brought it up, man.
I can't have an F. I can't have it. I know my parents can't have it. Even if I ace the rest of the semester, I'm still only a B. Everything's ruined for me.
Brian.
Considering my options, you know?
No, killing yourself is not an option.
Well, I didn't do it, did I? No, I don't think so.
It was a handgun?
No, it was a flare gun. It went off in my locker. It's not funny. Yes, it is.
Is this the first time or the last time we do this?
Last.
Well, get in there and use the time to your advantage.
No, we're not supposed to study. We just have to sit there and do nothing.
Well, mister, you figure out a way to study. Well, go!
Brian's journey is a poignant exploration of the paradox of identity. Labeled as a brain, he is confined to a stereotype that fails to capture the complexity of his character. This label becomes both a source of pride and a prison, forcing him to navigate the tension between societal expectations and his true self. Brian's role as the brain illustrates the paradoxical nature of identity. He is labeled and boxed into the stereotype of the nerd, a kid who excels academically but struggles socially. And this label, while seemingly flattering, it becomes a prison, constraining him to societal expectations and preventing him from exploring other dimensions of his personality.
Decide whether or not you care to return.
Yeah, I can answer that right now, sir. That'd be no for me. Cause
Sit down, Johnson.
thank you, sir.
Through the group's shared vulnerabilities, Brian comes to understand that every label is both a simplification and a distortion. For example, John Bender, the criminal, shows death and pain. Claire, the princess, reveals insecurity. And Brian himself, the brain, demonstrates emotional fragility. The film's conclusion, when they all collectively write the letter rejecting their assigned roles, it marks Brian's epiphany. People are more complex than any single label. His philosophical growth lies in recognizing that identity is fluid, multifaceted, and far richer than the categories we are often confined to. His philosophy underscores the importance of questioning the labels we impose on ourselves and others. By engaging with the diverse perspectives of his fellow detention mates, he begins to dismantle the rigid boundaries of his identity. He learns that identity is not a singular fixed construct, but a mosaic of experiences, emotions, and aspirations. His story encourages us to reject reductive categorizations and embrace the fluidity of who we are.
What are we having?
It's just your standard regular lunch, I guess.
Milk?
Soup. That's apple juice.
I can read. PB&J with the crusts cut off. Well, Brian, this is a very nutritious lunch. All the food groups are represented. Did your mom marry Mr. Rogers?
No, Mr. Johnson.
Huh. Here's my impression of life at Big Bry's house. Son? Yeah, Dad. How's your day, pal? Great, Dad. How's yours? Super. Say, son, how'd you like to go fishing this weekend? Great, Dad, but I've got homework to do. That's all right, son. You can do it on the boat. Gee, isn't our son swell? Yes, dear. Isn't life swell? Oh, oh.
Brian's transformation hinges on his willingness to be vulnerable. Initially, he hides behind his intellectual facade, fearing judgment. And this theme underscores the paradox of vulnerability. It is perceived as a weakness, yet it is through vulnerability that true strength and connection emerge. For Brian, sharing his pain allows him to see the humanity in others and to feel seen himself. Philosophically, Brian's liberation through vulnerability aligns with existentialist ideas, particularly the notion that authenticity arises when we confront and share our deepest truths. By exposing his flaws, Brian experiences a cathartic release, liberating himself from the oppressive weight of perfectionism. Brian's philosophy highlights the liberating power of vulnerability. By sharing his pain, he discovers that he is not alone in his struggles, and he finds solace in the empathy of others. His journey reminds us that true strength lies in the courage to be seen and heard, to embrace our imperfections, and to forge meaningful connections through our shared humanity.
Brian here is a cherry.
A cherry?
She was on a plane to France.
Not a cherry.
When have you ever gotten laid?
I've laid lots of times.
Name one.
She lives in Canada. Met her at Niagara Falls. You wouldn't know her.
Ever laid anyone around here? You and Claire did it.
What are you talking about?
Nothing. Nothing. Let's just drop it, okay? We'll talk about it later.
No, drop what? What are you talking about?
Well, Brian's trying to tell me that in addition to the number of girls in the Niagara Falls area, that presently you and he are riding the hobby horse.
Oh, pig.
No, I'm not. I'm not. John said I was a cherry, and I said I wasn't. That's it. That's all was said.
Well, then what were you motioning to Claire for?
You know, I didn't appreciate this very much, Brian.
He is lying.
Oh, you weren't motioning to Claire?
You know he's lying, right?
Were you or were you not motioning to Claire?
Yeah, but it was only because I didn't want to know I was a virgin, okay? Like, excuse me for being a virgin. I'm sorry.
Why didn't you let me know you were a virgin?
Because it's personal business. It's my personal, private business.
Well, Brian, it doesn't sound like you're doing any business.
I think it's okay for a guy to be a virgin.
You do?
As Brian interacts with his peers, he begins to question the rigid expectations that have shaped his life. His realization that his worth is not solely defined by his academic achievements marks a pivotal shift in his perspective. This pursuit of authenticity becomes a cornerstone of his philosophy, urging us to live in alignment with our values and passions rather than succumbing to external pressures. Brian's arc is defined by a struggle to reconcile who he is with who he is expected to be. His parents, teachers, and peers all impose expectations, creating a suffocating pressure to conform. Yet within the detention room, he begins to explore the possibility of existing beyond these external demands. His pursuit of authenticity mirrors existentialist thoughts, especially Jean Paul Sartre's concept of living in bad faith, where individuals deny their true selves to appease societal norms. Through his interactions, he begins to reject this mode of existence, realizing that authenticity requires challenging these norms and embracing his individuality. By the end of the film, he shows signs of breaking free. His willingness to write the group's letter and redefine their collective identity symbolizes newfound courage to challenge the expectations placed on him. So his journey challenges us to examine the ways in which we conform to societal norms and to find the courage to chart our own paths. His character teaches us that authenticity is not a destination, but a continuous process of self discovery and self expression. By embracing his true self, he inspires us to do the same, reminding us that our individuality is our greatest strength.
Dear Mr. Vernon, we accept the fact that we had to sacrifice a whole Saturday in detention for whatever it was we did wrong. What we did was wrong, but we think you're crazy to make us write an essay telling you who we think we are. What do you care? And you see us as you want to see us. In the simplest terms, the most convenient definitions. You see us as a brain, an athlete, a basket case, a princess, and a criminal. Correct? That's the way we saw each other at 7 o'clock this morning. We were brainwashed. But what we found out is that each one of us is a brain and an athlete
And a basket case. A princess.
and a criminal. Does that answer your question? Sincerely yours, The Breakfast Club.
Perhaps the most profound aspect of Brian's philosophy is his growing acceptance of imperfection. His initial obsession with perfection, whether in academics or in living up to his parents' expectations, gives way to a deeper understanding of the beauty of imperfection. Through his interactions with the other characters, he learns that flaws are not weaknesses, but integral parts of the human experience. Brian's final philosophical revelation lies in the embrace of imperfection. His initial obsession with academic success stems from an internalized belief that worth is tied to perfection. However, as the day unfolds, he learns that flaws are not failures. They are the essence of being human. This idea is reinforced when the group acknowledges their shared struggles. Each character's imperfections become a source of connection rather than division. For Brian, accepting his fallibility means recognizing that a failed project, a missed grade, or even feelings of inadequacy do not define his worth. The embrace of imperfection is a liberating realization, allowing Brian to step into his humanity with grace. It's a lesson in self compassion, reminding us that beauty lies not in flawless achievement, but in the messy, imperfect process of growth. Brian's embrace of imperfection is a powerful reminder that our worth is not measured by our achievements or the absence of mistakes, but by our capacity for growth, compassion, and self acceptance. His story encourages us to view our imperfections not as sources of shame, but as opportunities for learning and connection. Brian Ralph Johnson's philosophy lingers in our minds, a quiet yet profound testament to the power of thought and self discovery. His journey from self doubt to self acceptance, from isolation to connection, is a universal narrative that speaks to the core of our shared humanity. Brian's character challenges us to confront our own struggles with identity, vulnerability, and imperfection. He reminds us that the pursuit of knowledge, the courage to be authentic, and the willingness to embrace our flaws are the cornerstones of a fulfilling life. In his quiet, unassuming way, Brian becomes a philosopher for the ages, offering us a roadmap for navigating the complexities of the human experience. Through his story, we are reminded that even the quietest voices can hold the most profound truths, and that the alchemy of thought, the ability to question, learn, and grow, is a gift that can transform not only ourselves, but also the world around us. Brian Ralph Johnson may have entered attention as a brain, but he leaves as a beacon of resilience, authenticity, and hope, a legacy that continues to inspire us to this day. So, what are some lessons that we are, that we all can learn from Brian from the Breakfast Club? And the lessons that we can learn from Brian is that number one, your value is more than your achievements. Brian's academic success masked his internal struggles, showing us that self worth transcends external accolades. True value lies in being, not just doing. Number two, failure is a stepping stone, not a dead end. Brian's despair over a failing grade reminds us that failure is not the end, but an opportunity to learn, grow, and redefine success. Number three, labels do not define you. The brain was just one facet of Brian's identity. His story teaches us to look beyond stereotypes and embrace the full spectrum of who we are. Number four, vulnerability breeds connection. Brian's openness about his struggles united the group, proving that sharing our pain fosters understanding and solidarity. Number five, perfection is an illusion. Brian's quest for flawlessness nearly destroyed him. His journey highlights the importance of embracing imperfection as a natural and beautiful part of life. Number six, empathy is a bridge to understanding. By listening to his peers' stories, Brian learned to empathize with experiences different from his own, enriching his perspective and relationships. Number seven, authenticity over conformity. Brian's gradual embrace of his true self underscores the value of living authentically rather than conforming to others' expectations. Number eight, mental health matters. Brian's crisis serves as a powerful reminder of the importance of addressing mental health issues and seeking help when needed. Number nine, strength lies in community. Detention became a transformative experience for Brian because of the connections he forged with his peers. His story shows the power of shared experiences and mutual support. And number 10, growth growth is a lifelong journey. By the end of the film, Brian is just beginning to understand himself and his place in the world. His story reminds us that personal growth is ongoing and worth pursuing. And with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this video here today. And always be smooth, always be steady, and always be aggressive. Peace.